This video is little different than our regular medical PG in Germany videos. Here I'm talking about the state of affairs Indian doctors are at present, the young doctors especially, and I'm trying to analyze the business aspect out of it. Okay, so if you say that okay, this was out of the way here, should not be on this channel, then write in the comment. I will from now on not post these kind of video on this channel. If you feel that okay, this kind of content is also important and also useful to change thinking, then write that as well in the comment. Okay, so continue watching. Most young doctors in India think either they didn't work hard, or they chose the wrong hospital, or the system is unfair. All three explanations are emotionally satisfying, but all are incomplete. So today, let us remove the emotions out of the entire thing and just analyze it as a business analyst would, through demand, supply, scalability, and ownership. No blame, no drama, just pure mechanics. Medicine, no doubt, has a huge social value. It requires lots of hard work, efforts, and sacrifice over a sustained period of time. However, the market does not pay for sacrifice or for virtue. It pays for the scarcity. It pays for leverage. It pays for pricing power. This is uncomfortable to accept, but that is true. If efforts were rewarded in the society, then the junior doctors, the residents, would be the richest people. But are they? So there is something much more than our claim that we work so hard, we sacrifice our entire youth, our 20s, where people are partying and enjoying, we are spending days and nights in library and hospital wards to help people to build, to restore health and support the system and support the nation in a way. But markets don't consider all these. For market, what is the leverage? What is the scarcity? And what is the pricing capacity you have? What can you negotiate? For decades, medicine in India was considered hugely respectable, recession-proof, and stable profession. That prestige created massive demand among students, and that led to upcoming private medical colleges and privatization of medical education, and thereby the supply of doctors to the market increased rapidly. At entry level, MBBS is no more a scarcity. You can find lots of MBBS graduates across the country, and MBBS doctors are interchangeable. That if one is asking for little more money, we just replace them with take another one, because there are lots of them in the market. In market terms, this is called commoditization. That is like a commodity. Like one thing is you have toothpaste is finished, you buy a new toothpaste. There's lots of toothpaste in the market, like that, like a commodity. Something which is very difficult to get. On the other side, India has huge healthcare needs, but this need alone does not mean the willingness or ability to pay for that need or pay for that services. Most healthcare spending is out of pocket. That is why they are also very price sensitive, and they try to negotiate or try to find the best deals even when finding a doctor. Hospitals try to optimize their services, standardize their processes, so the systems are not doctor dependent. That means the value, doctor is one cog in the chain. He is not a value center, but a cost center. That okay, this person provides this value, this is his cost. So his work has a tagline. Other thing is the core structural trap in healthcare profession that I have noticed, or I have started to acknowledge it only when I was middle of a career. Because initially we all are in that okay, we are doctors, and when you go to government medical college, you're pumped up with your ego that okay, you are one of the best in the country and everything. But the fact of the matter, how the market sees you is different than how you see yourself or how your colleagues see you. That is different. So you can get lots of respect and support from your fraternity, from your family, from your friends who are also doctors. But Will that change into currency? That market has to decide. And that is why it is important to understand how the market sees you and not how important or valuable your work is. Because if other 20 people can do that important or valuable work, then your work is not that valuable because you are now replaceable. Somebody else can do that same valuable, important work with less pay. Doctors sell time, and time is finite. No matter how skilled you are, you will be treating one patient at a time. That means the work that you're doing or the value that you're bringing in the system is limited by the number of hours you are working. When you compare this profession to other professions like software, tech, other businesses which are scalable, that they do work one time and they can sell that same work many times. So that is not in medicine. So if you're a surgeon, you operate one patient, you spend, for example, 2 hours operating that patient. So that 2 hours and the money that you will get to that will be attached to that. So you cannot, for that same work, you cannot get paid more. So earn more, you have to work more, like you do more operation. And you have to understand that how much would a patient, if the patient is paying out of pocket, and he's an individual. That means here we also have to understand B2C and B2B concepts, that when you are selling, that means your business is to customers, like B2C. You are a business to customer thing. So here you have to see that the customer who is a normal middle class person, how much will he pay you? Even if you say that, okay, I will charge, I'm a very expert surgeon, I have, there are in this city, just for example, that you are the only person who can do a particular surgery in that city, and you feel that I'm saving this person's life. It has to be worthwhile for him to be saved. But the matter of the fact is that that middle class person, even if he wants to, even if his life is very important, how much will he pay you? He will pay you his 1 month's salary, 2 months' salary, 3 months' salary. How much do you expect for that person? So it gets limited when you're offering things B2B, because then you have to, when you see, for example, I gave you example of toothpaste. Okay, toothpaste you can do mass manufacturing. One toothpaste would cost, just for example, 50 rupees. You do mass manufacturing, you can sell it and you can earn a lot more money. But here, as a medical professional, you are just selling time. You cannot have 10 patients. If you say that, okay, this patient is not able to afford my services, so let me reduce the price and do this for 10 patients. For 10 patients, you'll have to spend 10 times the time. So there also comes the matter of business, that the hospitals can do that. For example, they can have 10 operation rooms. They can, instead of one patient, they can do 10 patients and hire 10 different doctors. But that means the revenue that they generate, the value, the profit that generate, that goes to the hospital. But the surgeon, there has to be 10 different surgeons to do the 10 operations. That means each surgeon will have that same value generated. Most doctors don't own. That is what I always think about, that ownership. That where you're working, if you're an employee, you have lots of risk. If you have time, you should read Rich Dad Poor Dad. If you have not yet, it's a very basic book, basically. Does not give you lots of nuanced ideas, but gives you a very basic concept of what is employment, what is ownership, what is as a self-employed person, who are you? As a business, what do you do? What are the pros and cons? So it's a basic book given in a very story form way by Robert Kiyosaki. So you can check that book, and I would recommend everyone to go through that book. I went through that book around 7-8 years back, and it was one of the initial books which changed my perspective about how I see employment, how I see work in medical profession, what are risks also in the medical profession, and what are the benefits, and how you can leverage your position. So I would always recommend to go through that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm sure most of you have done that already. If not, then do that. It will help you change your perspective. It will help you see how the world actually runs, and it will give you a perspective behind our blindfold or behind our hot tunnel vision of medicine, surgery, patient care. So where you do everything and at the end when you see what revenue it has generated, what is the bank balance, then it's not too great in the, at least for young doctors. So what I was saying is that doctors don't own clinics, they don't own the practice, they are an employee in the system. They don't have their patient funnel where they can bring in patients. Now let us talk about someone, say an expert neurosurgeon earns a lot of money, 1 crore rupees. I was hearing some podcast by an Indian doctor, and he had expert doctors on his podcast, and someone was saying that okay, they can earn, say, huge amount of money, which is, so first of all, that is only the top 1% is earning that money. So what about the 99%? When you think about any profession or any system, you have to think about the middle level and not the extremes and the outliers. That is one thing. Secondly, that neurosurgeon, if he's earning lots of money, the reason is not that he's an expert neurosurgeon. That means nobody else can operate like him. Okay, does not mean that. There are other people, or there might be other people who would do things at his level maybe better. Okay, but why this person is valued by the hospital? Because he's famous. That's because he brings patient, he brings business. That is what we have to understand. Why is one neurosurgeon or a cardiac surgeon or a reputed dermatologist paid more? Because they bring patients, they bring business, they bring revenue, they are very close to the revenue. That is what, not because of their skills, but because of the clients that they bring in. That is important, that they are making the benefit, a profit for the institution, not by doing the skill or technically doing that skill. Obviously, indirectly that is related. If he had bad outcomes, then nobody would come to him. But with that, he has a reputation, and that reputation brings people, that brings business. That is the core thing. So why do one needs that skill? Obviously to help patients first of all, but also to build a reputation on the top of it. So these things, that ownership of the system, that means either own a clinic or own part of the hospital, or have at least a patient funnel, that okay, patients are going through social media and then they're contacting you. That way you have leverage, that okay, if I come to your hospital to work as a doctor, my patients will come to your hospital. If you just say that no, I'll be an employee, you give me work and I will do the work, I'll do it very nicely, nobody cares, because there are lots of people doing that. They can hire somebody else for cheaper. So you have to have leverage, that what are you getting, what are you bringing to the system. The current situation should not be taken by doctors as personal failure. This is a structural positioning problem, and the solution is also not just working hard or going into guilt trip or having more patience so that later I will do better. No, the solution is also structural repositioning. The mindset change, the thinking change, and thinking about how market sees you. You have learned medicine in your medical college, in your PG training, you have learned the skills, you have become an expert doctor, you are qualified, you have spent so many years doing that hard work. True, but also think about how does the society see that financially? How does the market rewards it? And you have to reposition depending upon the market preferences, because they are going to pay you, that they are your payers. So you have to adapt to them, that system. Obviously, without diluting your practice, without diluting your morality, without diluting the oath that you have taken to work as a doctor. So those things remain intact. There is no compromise on those things. But we cannot be blind to the market side and then complain that market is not treating us well. Most doctors are so much engaged in their clinical work that they don't find time for anything else. They don't learn about business. They don't learn about finance. They don't learn about accounting, value investment. They learn nothing about money, because money is a taboo topic in medicine profession. However, nowadays they crib because they have not earned money and they're not earning money. They don't feel valued. Now, obviously, when you don't focus on any particular thing, it will not grow. If you don't give time, if you don't give effort, if you just feel that, okay, I'll just develop my skills and the market will find me, then my dear friends, you will develop your skills True, but there are also 1000 other people developing their skills. What will differentiate you? So, this knowledge of out of the box, out of the medical thinking, these things we talk on My Two Hats. My Two Hats is a community of professionals who, along with the profession, also want to learn about these things, about market, about business, about starting a business, about online income, about leverage, scalability. So these concepts and things from the business books we learn there. You're welcome to join our community on Facebook and Instagram. It is in developing phase now. You can also write us an email if you have thoughts and ideas about what I said, or maybe you can write a comment on this. And if you like this kind of content, you can let me know. We have a separate channel for this, My Two Hats.